Okay, we are live. I'm very happy to talk to Frank Holmes, CEO of Hive Blockchain, and Aydin Kilic, the new COO of Hive Blockchain. Yeah, great quarter, first of all. Congratulations to these great results. Number one in revenue with over 33 million US dollars. The mining margin is at 83%. And it's not only the quarter, which was big, also the whole year, which was affected by the Bitcoin halving and so on. So it started, let's say, in the end of the bear market, and at the end of the quarter or at the end of March 2021, it was incredible, good results. So congratulations first. It took a while to get the financials. So Frank, maybe you can explain us why did it take so long to get the financials out?
Well, thank you for your faith and patience. I guess the big part is that we're not just in one country. Riot is just in America. Marathon is just in America. Hut 8 is just in Canada. Bitfarms is now starting to go into Argentina. That will become a more complex audit process. We're in many different countries. We're in Sweden. So the financials, the Swedish auditor puts everything in Swedish language, and they go back and forth in transitions with time zones back and forth. Everything's extra hours. Remember, 7 o'clock in the morning is 5 o'clock Swedish time. Okay. In Vancouver for Darcy. So if he needs to talk to people at 9 o'clock in the morning, as you know, it's a big time zone difference. So every night you have to talk to your auditor at dinner time. Yes. And then you have to wait 24 hours basically before you get all your information turned around. So what about this file? What about this? So it goes back and forth. It's not every 20 seconds like Ethereum mining or every 10 minutes like Bitcoin. It's a 24-hour byte exercise. So we have in Switzerland, in German, we have Swedish, we have Danish from Iceland, and in Canada, it's French and it's English. So you see that creates that integration, all those issues. We'd hope that going into Bermuda would help, time zone wise, would help facilitate. It has, from a reporting point of view, of our Bitcoin, Ethereum, and data. But still, when it comes to the audit, what's happened here in America and is happening everywhere in the world, the auditors by the regulated accounting boards now of Canada and the US are making it very tough on auditors. So it's extreme toughness, and especially now that not only are we Bitcoin mining Ethereum, we got two, most everyone has just one currency, not two. We are in all these jurisdictions, and there's got to be so many boogeymen. And so you have to go through a much longer process of scrubbing down everything. But we've got ideas that we're going to fast track this going into this cycle this year. So things will be much faster. This last quarter, the quarter from April, May, and June, that'll be out very quickly next week, and then we'll be able to continuously fast track the process. Acquiring GPU1 also helps facilitate, because we have Omar, who's a CPA in Quebec, sort of help integrate those financials. So I feel much better about it going forward.
Yeah, great. That's what the shareholders want to hear, I think. In Germany, we have a saying which says more or less, good things take a while. So, if you're delivering record results or record revenue next time, I'm okay with waiting a little bit longer. That's no problem.
Those results, yes. And you know what's really interesting is that we have to make disclosure that none of management can sell or buy stock during this period. But the narrative, the way they describe it, makes it look like you're a bad person. It just says, until your financials are going to be presented, you can't trade in the markets. That's just normal. But the wording doesn't explain that. So we had to deal with a lot of shareholders and understand the wording of it. And I think that that's an important consideration, that none of us traded in the stock. And we also found, a list like Michael Saylor's talked about, there's these bots out there that just plant negative information. So some of these people that when you make a statement, and I check them out now, and they've got one follower. It's themselves.
Yes.
And they're following other people, and they're basically have these weird names. They have a human being name, but then their site is numbers, etc. These are just out there planting negative news on all of us.
Yes.
So I have found that sort of interesting, and people have to become aware of the negative bots. I believe against Bitcoin, it's been Ripple. That was a thought process that came out of the Miami conference, that Ripple is doing everything to try to attack the efficacy of Bitcoin being decentralized.
Yeah, I've heard about this too. Okay.
So lots of FUD. Lots of FUD.
We have it every day, today again. But yeah, let's focus on Hive. A lot of new people are working at Hive Blockchain, so it's becoming now a bigger company. I mean, I think in the bear market, you were running Hive very lean, and I think that was important to get through this hard time. But now things are looking better, and then we have Aydin Kilic, which is the new COO. So maybe Aydin, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? What are you doing now at Hive Blockchain?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Frank, for having me on the podcast here with Lucas. And Lucas, thank you for hosting us today. So I joined Hive as president and chief operating officer formally in August. I was able to be in New York City when we rang the bell at NASDAQ, and that was just a life moment, life experience, indescribable. So Frank and I have been industry friends for years. I was the founder and CEO of a company called Fortress Blockchain, which I founded, took public. But really, I was inspired by Hive because it was the first crypto mining company. Frank and I met on a panel in early 2018, and we've been friends ever since then. So, Hive is growing at such a rapid pace. It's the first Ethereum and Bitcoin miner. I have an engineering background. I studied engineering science, a lot of mathematics, high frequency electronics, electromagnetics, things like that. I worked as a radio frequency engineer. I did a lot of R&D. Worked in laboratories in France, California, and at Sierra Wireless during that time. So I bring a lot of the quantitative technical outlook. I've also done commercial property development, running some large projects. Secured over $100 million in loans with banks for project development, and brought to market over $100 million worth of rezoned and development permitted strata projects in British Columbia. So I understand the ins and outs of cash flow running a business, and then also the third tranche is capital markets and understanding securities laws, filings, and having been at the helm of a public company myself. So that's a compliment to the extended family we have at Hive now. As Frank mentioned, all the guys at GP1, we've got some incredible talent. Bill Gray, our CTO, is absolutely brilliant. Gabriel, the general counsel, a super smart guy as well. Iggy, he's our VP of strategic partnerships, and Luke is just a network genius. So we're poised to really take this to a $10 billion company. Frank is a great visionary, and having the diversity in Ethereum mining as well as Bitcoin mining, but also as we alluded to on the earnings call, we're stepping into the HPC realm, and we're strategically positioned there. That's an ongoing R&D project. So there's a lot of exciting stuff happening at Hive. But we also stay true to our core competencies. The site in New Brunswick that we're building out, which I described as a military-grade facility, absolutely phenomenal. High efficiency, passive design. You've got the kind of dual pass architecture with passive louvers, and at the exhaust out the roof, dual pass cathedral. I visited the site, and it's very clean. It's very efficient, very modular, highly scalable design. And we had pictures of those substations. We have a second substation come to the site to bring it to 70 megawatts, right? And so we've got a great operating team there. Really, Hive has got great operating teams all over the world, in Iceland and Sweden, as well as Canada. And it's a very, very sophisticated company. And and then on the corporate side, as Frank mentioned, they've got a team in Bermuda that's helping with the accounting. Omar in Montreal, who's also CPA, that helps Darcy. So whatever facet of the operation you look at, we've just got great talent.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry, Lucas, I just want to add, that for me, that Aydin has real estate experience in construction. And when you're building data centers, like one of our directors is building over a gigawatt of capacity in Texas, and he had to go hire real estate developers because you have to think of the grand scale of things. And if you see the video clips we keep putting out, this is a big deal we're doing in New Brunswick. And the best part is we own it. And now it's being validated that people are paying, like Riot did, $2 million per megawatt. So we're really building something that we don't have to argue with landlords. Or what happens in this business? Every time Bitcoin goes up, they try to come back and renegotiate the lease agreement. They're so frustrating and annoying. Oh, you're making money. Give me some. And it's really annoying. In New Brunswick, we're building a campus where we have the ability to go to 100 megawatts if you think it through. And we bought more real estate around the area. We're very excited about this is a big balance sheet asset also in the business. And Aydin's got experience there. So besides the electrical engineer, he understands all the technical legal issues that come up with buying the land, developing the land, regulatory pronouncements, environmental pronouncements, how to navigate around that. These are lots of complex issues that people don't realize. So I'm so thrilled that Aydin has come along and joined us and in seeing how he's built up this vision.
Yeah, great. I mean, yeah, I think it's more than hash rate to build a data center. I think that's what people often forget, all these regulatory stuff and with the communities there and so on. And yeah, I'm following the Hive story from the beginning. And yeah, I really like the transition from this startup, then going through the bear market now with a vision to become a 10 billion company. And that's why I'm invested in Hive Blockchain. And that's why I did not sell when we had this peak, because I see we're still at the beginning of this industry, so there's a lot of growth potential. And yeah, I like this vision of 10 billion company. That's where I see Hive and some other blockchain companies. That's why I'm focusing 100% on this industry, and I'm not going into other industries right now, because this is for me the growth industry. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the operations. So, Aydin, how many Bitcoins do you mining a day right now?
So we're at 1.1 exahash right now, and so we're mining over 7 Bitcoin a day. That's
almost eight. And so, that's a lot of cash flow. In addition to that, we do about 80 Ethereum per day. Right, so that's about $600,000 per day of revenue, and that's a lot of money when you think about it. And on a run rate basis, if Bitcoin bounces back to 50 grand and Ethereum to 3,500, that's $300 million a year of run rate revenue, right? Yeah, and so as the numbers, so there's the team, but the numbers also speak volumes, right? $33 million. On the earnings call, right? And so, Hive has had a very productive year because they've been hashing for so long, right? Like, it's all about having active hash rate, because, if you're a newcomer to the industry, you raise some money, you scramble, you make a big machine order. Well, guess what? You've got to figure out where you're going to plug those things in. You've got to have that infrastructure. Hive has been hashing for years. They've been hashing since 2017, right? And so, having this infrastructure in play, having hundreds and hundreds of petahash operating since early this year and last year, that's how you get these great numbers, right? And so it's strategic deployment of capital, ordering machines, as Frank alluded to, tranches, so we could do it in sync as we have our infrastructure footprint grows. It's not just about having machines sitting in a box in a warehouse, right? So I just wanted to shine some light on that point as well.
Yeah, I checked the numbers on the calculator, and yeah, it's correct. So it's 7 to 8 BTC and 70 to 80 ETH. So I mean, this is great, and the run rate of $600,000 with a very low cost. On the one side, it's the revenue that's big. On the other side, it's the costs, and I feel in this quarter that the costs were still low. So it seems like the electricity contracts and so on, it hasn't increased much. I mean, you increased the capacity in Lachute. I think you're running the S9s there, so so you're running maybe at full capacity. I don't know. So what can Frank or Aydin, what can you tell us about the operating costs? I mean, we're hearing that gas prices go up, electricity goes up. What is your feeling there right now?
Well, for us, we pretty well have fixed contracts, so we hedge out Sweden. It's a very sophisticated hedging model that you allow. So it's a seasonal factor. So that means that we lock in once a year that electrical costs, and so that has helped us. As it comes to Lachute, that we plugged in all those S9s until the other orders started coming in, and we had some frustration because the Bitmain orders weren't coming in on time. Now it appears they're coming in on time, but they were not. And then we pivoted over to MicroBT and started getting equipment from them. And the big swing in this past quarter, there's no doubt, has been the acquisition of the 3,000 machines from Foundry. That worked out, and they took cash and stock, so they got some upside with it, which has done well. So we're thrilled about that. But with Lachute, we're upgrading. So as new Canon machines come in, or MicroBT machines come in, or Bitmain machines come in, Strong U machines have been the slowest to come in, but as they come in, we just upgrade, sell the S9s. And when we did that deal, what we paid for those S9s? $0. That was part of the deal.
Yeah, I mean they were unprofitable at that time, and I think you could buy it with $10 or so, and now it's 500 or so. I don't know. Yeah.
So from that end, it worked out really well because we've been selling them at $200 and $300 at a time. It seemed to go to Latin America is the big buyer of S9s, where someone has zero cost for electricity, like Venezuela, I hear, and other places like Argentina. They're just desperate to be able to get some foreign currency.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to add, Hive has grown by M&A. The Lachute acquisition, where Frank mentioned they got all the S9s for $0. The New Brunswick acquisition, and I've underwritten over $200 million of land acquisitions in my time doing real estate. And I get in the real details and granularity. But the thing is, Frank, when you've got an illustrious business career like him, he's made countless dollars over decades and decades. He just has a nose for business. Like he can tell, he's got that instinct, right? And then he sends in the troops, we figure out all the details, and voila. And another thing on the operating cost in Sweden, we actually have a demand response where we can power down for seconds at a time and actually get a lot of credits back from the utility provider. So that helps to keep our costs incredibly low and incredibly attractive. We actually get cash back from the utility provider. It's known as a demand response, right? So when you have sort of a sophisticated high frequency operation, and you can actually throttle your power load in response, which is not everybody can pull that off, but we have that ability, right? And similarly,
and I just want to comment on what you're saying. Oops, there's an echo there. But Aydin, we were just together in Sweden, and we get invited to other communities because we have a real ESG strategy, and we've done what Aydin was just talking about with our software, so that we're not just a run and grab, give me cheap electricity, mine, and I'll take off. We are building something out in Boden. We sponsor the hockey team. It's the biggest event for the community. And there's pro hockey between all the little towns all through Sweden. And we have a very strong part of a community reputation. So I think these are important parts that we think we can grow. And we're going to do this similar in Quebec and in New Brunswick. Be involved with the community, get the local colleges, start teaching the kids how to run data centers. make some extra money. There's a shortage of some basic technical skills of how to manage a data center.
Yeah, I saw this picture from the ice hockey game, and I really was proud about Hive, that you're in the middle of the field, the Hive blockchain logo. I think this is great. It's now a more than $1 billion company, and it's time to engage with communities to tell that Bitcoin and blockchain is not bad. It helps to transform the electricity into money. And yeah, you expanded in Sweden, I think, to also another city there, Robertsfors or so, and you expand your Boden capacity right now. So it seems like there is a good connection in Sweden for more growth there.
Yes.
That sounds great.
But we have to be so careful because everyone's going to watch this video and then run and compete with us and or try to compete. But we have some big opportunities. We're talking about, and the magic is the picture was we've done in New Brunswick is get transformers. So you can go build a big facility right now, but who cares? There's electricity over here, and you got a big building over here filled with machines. There's no transformer. It's not going to make any money. And there's a shortage in that process of getting transformers.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Further to Frank's point. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Lucas.
No. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that, we want to talk about the result. We don't talk so much about the secret sauce, but, we've got a very sophisticated procurement strategy, in this post-COVID era. It's not just about getting the ASICs, it's about getting the transformers. And like, there's a substation, like, there's like the 50 megawatt transformer. Then there's that sci-fi looking one in our presentation. That was a second 30 megawatt transformer. And, it's getting these things on site. And then you've got to have your medium voltage transformers as well, all of the steel, all of this stuff. But another point on the community engagement too, we work closely with the power providers and also, the local townships. When we build out, we try to hire local, right? Our focus is to hire in the towns. For example, in New Brunswick, we want to hire in the town. And if the job, we need more resources, our next ring out is to focus on New Brunswick. And if not that, then the Maritimes, because we believe in economic development. We like to meet the mayors in all the towns that we do business in. We took a helicopter tour in Sweden, all throughout northern Sweden. We met other stakeholders in the community. People were welcoming us with open arms because they've heard nothing but good things about how Hive embraces the local community and just does good business. So it's on the back end, it's also just about doing good business and building in these communities, right? As Frank said, it's not just about we want the cheap electricity. We'll work with the utility. We're thoughtful, right? And again, always with the green and clean mandate.
Okay, great.
And just to add to that, when we did the acquisition of GPU1, there was lots of loose ends in that community of not being paid from the previous contractor, who GPU1 had contracted with, cheated people, etc. And that was part of their challenges, was they got cheated themselves. And we came in and paid them all, got them, everyone cleaned up. Talk to the mayor. Okay, what's this problem? Well, that's more difficult. Okay, let's negotiate. Let's get this done, and made sure everyone got paid. And so that the community needs that, and it creates more jobs for it. So we are sensitive to those local issues, in addition to what Bitcoin and Ethereum is doing today.
Great to hear that. We're happy to hear about more growth in these communities in the future. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Ethereum. Hive Blockchain is the biggest publicly traded Ethereum miner in the world, as I'm aware of, still. And it will be in the future, as I think. But with Ethereum mining, there was EIP 1559. There was these 4 gigabyte, 8 gigabyte stuff. Then there will be proof of stake in the future. So what is the strategy here for Ethereum mining, and maybe go into staking with the Ethereum hodl? So what can you tell us here?
Well, I think a lot of it's FUD. And with all respect, it is a desire to go to this proof stake over proof of work. It's sort of an idealistic way. There's always glitches in their software, there are upgrades, etc. But what our thesis has been is that eventually it'll get there, but it's not imminent. And each time they create London upgrade, the Berlin upgrade, coming into last quarter last year was the 2.0. All those things have done is taking supply out of the market. Billions of dollars of Ethereum have gone into that staking business and then end up being in the DeFi world, etc. It only helps us because if just think what happened with Bitcoin mining when the halving took place, the digestion of it, and all of a sudden, pop, up it goes. It takes off 6 months later. Ethereum is the same thing. We just see that our biggest risk so far has been more people want to mine Ethereum. That has been clearly, if you look at the difficulty, yes, when China went against Bitcoin, the difficulty in Bitcoin collapsed. So what did that tell you? Ethereum didn't collapse, and Ethereum goes to new highs. So it really is, Ethereum is more decentralized than Bitcoin. And in Europe, all these kids want those A40s and they want those chips. So they're gamers. They just turn around and they run up their dad's electrical bill and my mother's electrical bill, and they get themselves an Ethereum and they run out and they cash in and they've got a party for a month. This is much broader in America and in Europe. How many people are much more decentralized? So I look at that as saying, okay, what happened to the difficulty? The same machines a year ago were producing, for simple round numbers, 300 coins a day. A year later, they're 100 coins a day. How could that happen? Well, it's because the difficulty went up almost 300%.
Yes.
And so that's a bigger challenge for us than this whole threat of proof of stake is going to put us out of commission. No, I think that's another reason why we hodl, because our balance sheet is rising. Every time we get a run in Ethereum, you see our NAV. And did you see that one visual we showed was less than 5 million at the end of 2020, our balance sheet in Ethereum and Bitcoin, and then it runs to 60 million approximately.
Yeah,
and now it's over $100 million. So any run up, we get 2 for 1. We're making money daily and we're banking those coins. So that's something like Michael Saylor's talked about having a big position in Bitcoin, that as Bitcoin runs higher, then his mark to market all of a sudden shows up as an income. And therefore he's growing his overall technology company greatly by sweating his balance sheet.
Yeah, okay. So I think the same. Ethereum mining will still be profitable for a while. That's why I think you ordered new cards there to increase. I think you said that time it's going to be 5.5 terahash in the next few months, or is this still the number? Okay, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, the upgrade. The upgrade. They're so much more energy efficient. These new chips, and what we're looking for is in Sweden, where we can get an extra 10, 20 megawatts. If we can get an extra 20 megawatts, move all our 580s over there, and then upgrade this facility with all the new Ethereum and build out the high performance computing. So right now we're in the build out for 1 megawatt of high performance computing. We've got the location. Genesis Mining was there. They're gone. Totally, they have 1 megawatt. That's all ours, and so we're building that out. We're working on the template of offering this as a cloud service in the world. So we have so many really exciting things this way that all these NVIDIA chips can pivot and all of a sudden go into high performance computing, which is, if you just take a look, for classic is this for listeners, the 580 is an old chip. With 8 gigawatts of memory, it's very efficient. It makes $2 a day. On the cloud, it's $2 an hour if it's high performance computing.
Wow.
That is the big difference. So you need more marketing staff, you need more technical people doing onboarding, all this other stuff. But what's really important is that what we see is that during the market hours, researchers, quant fund traders, people working 9 to 5 are going to want these data centers, these to be able to license this. At nighttime, you mine Ethereum so that you're always in the game, and you come out at 60% cheaper than Amazon. And you still have this huge profit center. So that's our long-term vision. If proof of stake was to actually show up at the door tomorrow, we have the capacity to pivot.
Yeah, so it makes sense to increase the GPUs because, yeah, no matter proof of stake happens for Ethereum, you go to HPC and you will be still very profitable. And also it's some diversification for the company. I think other miners will go into this direction too. But Hive, really has most of the experience in this stuff. So I think that makes a whole lot of sense. So yeah,
something else I wanted to share with you is that we were offered by a new ETF that has Bitcoin, and they wanted to pay us a premium starting at 1% for our green and clean coins, because they found in certain countries in the world ESG is very, very important, and they're being pushed that maybe they have to go and buy some of these carbon credits because what they have in their portfolio. And it all supposedly started with Galaxy, not as a Galaxy or Genesis in New York, digital group. They went and bought some credits. So if you look in Europe, you're well known at this business, electrical business. If you want to buy carbon credits, I think they're like 50 euros a ton.
Yeah, they have doubled in the last few months, so it's incredibly expensive.
So if it's 100 tons to mine a Bitcoin, that means it's worth $5,000 more. So therefore, if someone has to actually go out as a crypto miner and buy those credits to do the offset, we're at an advantage of $5,000 to $10,000 a Bitcoin.
Yeah, that is great, and I think this will increase. I mean, the world is changing, and it's all about this carbon footprint, and the ESG strategy is very important. And yeah. I mean, Hive is always mining with 100% green, hydro, and geothermal. You're engaging with the community, so that's for me also ESG. It's the governance or however you want to call it. And what else are you gonna do for ESG? There were some talks about tomatoes, growing tomatoes in Sweden.
Yeah, we saw this being built in Sweden, where you really don't put up glass. It's almost like a plastic in two layers. And your heat comes in, and you use ultraviolet lighting, and you can have many cycles for growing tomatoes, etc. So we are trying to right now. That's part of the negotiations. Is can we tie up the other land that's right beside our facility to go and build this out? So we know how it works, and our job is to go and build it.
Okay. Let's go on to Bitcoin mining. In the call 1 hour ago, Frank, you said you want to go to 10 exahash. I was not sure whether I was hearing correct or not. So, I mean, that's a huge number. What are the plans in Bitcoin mining? I think you're going to 3 exahash next year. I think this is more or less safe, or 2 to 3 exahash. When I hear 10 exahash, I think you will grow Bitcoin mining even more than that.
And what I try to share with people, that's what will take us to 10 billion. But we want to make sure that we are able to align the energy, green energy, along with the delivery of the equipment. Raising a bunch of cheap capital and buying equipment that doesn't come on time, or you find out that your electricity is all coal and you have to get rid of that, and you have to run over to, like some of these other organizations have had to go and find other sources of electricity. We're trying to just be much more methodical. So you've seen it every month we're making a purchase of $10 million. Every month, 10 million. They'll be delivered next year. Okay, when it'll be coming? It'll be coming April, May, June. Okay, will that new facility be on site? Okay, what's the logistics? Oh no, we're 3 weeks behind in construction of this place. Okay, what are we going to do? Okay, so but last thing we want to do is say we've spent $200 million buying equipment that we cannot put somewhere, or we want to go and tie up a lot of green energy and find out we can't source equipment. So our process of getting there is, I think, is just much more methodical. I think that's the way I would like to look at it. And but so far, market cap wise, I would think we should have the highest market cap, but we don't. Marathon does, but we're more profitable. And Marathon has a big delivery issue, and where they're going to plant it. And so I just hope that everything works out, because they're good people. Fred's a great guy, and the caliber I share with you of CEOs from when Hive was launched. I mean, there were so many flakes out there. Look at what Riot was. Riot was run by flakes the SEC went after, and in Canada there were so many other just basically flaky players. Today, Silver or YPO, Young Presidents Organization. Aydin is a young entrepreneur organization that's a global organization of education and information flow. So I think that this ecosystem has really evolved with high caliber, high quality CEOs, and I wish them nothing but the best that they can execute, because I think this industry is going to even grow bigger.
Yes.
And Lucas, I think Frank touched on a key word there. He said methodical scaling, right? And when you ask a very good question, how will we get to 10 exahash? Well, the same way we got to 1 exahash and 2 exahash, right? You look back at the press releases this past year, and you could see how our hash rate has grown consistently, right? And you can see how our footprint is consistently expanding. And I know you're very astute when it comes to these sort of observations, Lucas. So we've got we're constantly prospecting for sites, and earlier in the presentation, Frank noted how some of the other companies have really diluted a lot, right? Well, Frank is a master of the capital markets, and so when there's an accretive path forward, the point is there's dilutive and there's an accretive path, right? And so we know when to raise capital and when to scale, and so that generates long-term returns for shareholders. So we and by having all the teams and the construction managers and we're working with great teams of lawyers in our real estate acquisition. That's how we get that pipeline going, and we've got great relationships with all the hardware producers. MicroBT, Bitmain, Canaan. We're not hinged just to one mothership where we're hoping and praying that, oh man, like we hope this comes through. So Hive is very diversified, and of course we got the relationship with NVIDIA as well.
Yeah, great. Another CEO called it a smart growth, and I think that's what Hive does, growing smart, but also very aggressive. So we had these orders of a lot of Bitcoin mining machines. So what are you paying for a terahash right now for these orders? I mean, you have 3,000 there, 3,000 there. I'm always wondering, is it $50 or is it more 100? So below 50, that's good. Good to hear. So
I tried to allude to that, Lucas.
We're both very disciplined.
Below 40?
Yeah.
It's a 40-ish range.
Okay.
And so it's also for our planning. When we think about a 6-month return on capital when it arrives, how much money we have to put up, so that you can never get, if you paid $40 for simplicity, or $50, you pay $50 a day, and it says that's basically on a 6-month, when they're selling you this equipment, it's a 6-month return on your capital, but they don't deliver for 6 months. So that doesn't, you're not getting a 6-month return on your capital, you're getting a 12-month return on your capital, but you only put up 25%. Therefore, now all of a sudden, I'm getting a much higher rate of return on capital, but not 6 months, it's 9 months, 10 months. And so that's how we're trying to gauge that what we pay per terahash, and then we add on the delivery date we expected, and will that give us a competitive high return on invested capital? But I don't want to have where they wanted all the money up, which we saw ever since the positive news about China as attack on the industry is that the suppliers of equipment have become much more reasonable. They can't compete with NVIDIA. NVIDIA, you pay and they deliver the equipment. You don't have to give them and wait and say, please deliver my equipment. It's a much more sophisticated organization for delivery of product.
Yeah, I think the hardware industry in Bitcoin mining, it also has to mature and becoming it has become a multi-dollar business, but also the conditions and the deliveries and so on, it has to be more professional, I think.
And Lucas, one other thing I want to add too is, being the first crypto miner, having gone public in 2017, Hive has been through the bull and bear markets, right? And so if you're a new market entrant, no names, but if you're a new company that just entered this recent bull run, raised a bunch of money, there's companies out there. You mentioned $100 a terahash, right? And there are companies out there that have paid that much, and they're going to have a very hard time realizing a return on their investment. Number one, number two, you've got to you got to really live. It's one thing to look at a historical trend and be like, oh yeah, Bitcoin used to be $3,500, in 2019, but to live through that, and develop the courage to realize that you actually want to expand and grow your footprint, because that's when you can get the $40 a terahash gear, And so it's having that experience, being through years and years and years of this industry, that how to deploy the capital. Because the thing is it's not an easy decision to make, right? It's not an easy decision to make. Of course, people want to raise money in a bull market, but you got to be careful when you're spending in a bull market.
Yeah,
too.
you have to be.
I just want to.
You have to be patient, yeah. I think. So, looking at the clock, do we have a few more minutes, Frank?
Sure.
Okay, that's great. Then we can continue. Going to the investment side, you made some investments into tokens.com, for example, or you got shares from DeFi technologies. So what are the plans here? I mean, you have a lot of Ethereum on the balance sheet. Some people are talking about, okay, why don't they stake these, for example, with tokens.com and so on. So yeah, what are the developments here?
Well, once you stake, what happens in the marketplace is that you can't kick it back easily. And two, will they put it actually in a separate wallet that they're not going to lose its green and clean status? These are newly minted coins. And so I think there might still be my thesis that green and clean, close to Genesis, like coins, are going to be worth more in 10 years, like good sports cards. That's driving the NFT world. So we're looking at the NFT opportunities. We are very happy with DeFi, what they've been able to do. Their CEO, Diana Briggs, has done a group of their, ETF business model for DeFi in the Nordics. They have over $200 million in Bitcoin, and it's growing. So they're doing, I think, a great job. Diana, she used to be the head of HSBC's Innovation Lab, and she went to McGill University of Montreal. She has an engineering degree. So getting people like that and investing in DeFi and that are building out their business model, I think is very exciting. We made that investment with them. And the founder of that was Olivier Francois, who was really the idea behind Hive originally came from him.
Yes, I still know him from the videos in 2017 where he did on Iceland. Okay, I think someone asked me or told me that there is an NFT project you're participating. Is this correct, that Hive is going into NFT, or is this DeFi Technologies investment?
No, we're looking at NFTs. And so it'd be something that's not just a speculative early stage, but something that I think could be unleashed to the public and could be a very profitable avenue. It's already a company that's got business. They're in the business. They produce high quality professional content, and that's what to me is really quite key. How do you digitize that? How do you turn around and create the NFT for that? So we're getting there. I think it's an exciting end of it. Most important, we got these financials done. Now we'll get the first quarter done, and then we can focus on these other build-outs, these other investments. But Token, we did speak to Andrew. He's a great guy. We have an investment in his company. But I think that the concern that we've had, unless it could be proven to us by the auditors, that no one can go in and reach in and take our coins. this is a really important component of segregation. Like I'm in the mutual fund world, ETFs. I can't reach in and touch any of that money. There's so many layers and barriers around being able to touch any of that capital and the trust segregated and all these people that sign off for any money going in and security going out. That sort of sunblock is like 300, not 30 sunblock, but 300 around. And that becomes the concern with the auditors when you have cold wallets and hot wallets. And how do they know? And how do you know this person's telling you the truth? How do you know this is the coins you got? Show us. If it doesn't matter what's with the bank. So the ongoing validation process and layers of validation are very important if we were to turn around and put up our assets in that end of it. So that's basically been the great concern we've had. But token, no, we love Andrew's vision and we support him. But think about it. If we put all of our coins back in December into one of these making 20% a year, we made much more money hodling.
Yes. Okay. Got it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, a lot of things are evolving in crypto, and I really love it to hear that you're looking into NFTs. And yeah, I mean, maybe it will take some time to make a business out of it, but I think it's like 5 years ago mining. Yeah, you took it public 4 years ago or even more, and it's now becoming a huge business. And I think with NFTs and so on, it will be in the next few years. It will be huge, and there will be other things like staking and so on. So I think it's important to have an open eye, open ears, and to be always open for these new things. Maybe a question about the regulation. There's a lot of discussions every time. There's a lot of FUD and so on. So Frank or Aydin, how do you see the regulation for especially mining improving or changing in North America?
Well, I give my experience. I think that the head of the SEC, who used to be head of the FTC and then taught at MIT blockchain, is a great a big breath of fresh air going into what will be regulated and where the bad guys. I thought that Clayton, the previous head of the SEC, did a great job chasing out of Dodge City all the wild gunslingers, because there were a lot of characters out there flaunting a new token, which really was a security, and taking the money and running. So he cleaned that up, and that was ushered in many more professional CEOs coming in this industry. So I think he'll do a good job. The big hard part is really Janet Yellen, who used to be head of the Federal Reserve, is now a Secretary of Treasury. She's become much more left on the fact that they've created almost like a G7 finance ministers cartel. And you can see this with the flat tax of the members of the G7 for corporations of 15% minimum flat tax. And anytime the taxes come in, it's easy to bring in, it's hard to take off. So I think that that's probably the more frustrating part. And she's on a big campaign. The narrative is very negative on Bitcoin. It's very negative on anything that's decentralized. We can see that what China's done now in Hong Kong. I mean, it's a communist nation, so anything that's not controlled and centralized, they will destroy. And so now the EU, along with the US, it seems to be swinging to the left in some parts. So because socialists do not like gold, they do not like Bitcoin. It's a mechanism and they don't like cash. So here's the conundrum. They want to know where all the cash is, and they want to track all the cash so that every tip that's out there they can tax. But the only way to do that is to go digital. But then on the other hand, they're worried about digital and Bitcoin, Ethereum taking off, which it has been doing. So I think that something's going to happen in the middle. And if you got rational people like the head of the SEC today, that rational people will make rational decisions, etc.
And one thing I can add, Lucas, more on the home front in Canada, at least as being a publicly traded company, the Canadian Public Accountancy Board, they're having a forum in October, which I'll be participating in, along with Darcy, our CFO, and Gabriel, our Director of Legal Affairs. And so it's all about embracing, and working closely with the regulators, because it's a nascent industry, right? These are accountants by trade. They have to audit all sorts of industries, mining, forestry, whatever, right? And so, because technology, crypto mining is a nascent, albeit, as you know, Lucas, a very quantitatively definable industry. It's about getting them comfortable with the axioms, right? And so they know what things they can rely on that are truth, and they know that things that are assumptions or postulates, and it's bridging that gap. So, I was talking on an interview yesterday where, they came out and they said they want SOC 2 reports for websites like blockchain.com, and because blockchain.com is privately owned. And so they won't even accept the hash rate that blockchain.com uses. And so then what you do is, well, you get, a third party consultant, and they actually bring a node, and they show the auditor that, hey, we can actually get this off an actual node. And so then the auditors, over the past 3 years, because, it came out in 2019 in Canada, where, they were in a bit of a tizzy about crypto audits. And yeah, I've been through three myself, and I bring that wisdom and experience to work with Frank and Darcy. But we're gonna work to I think get the Canadian CPAB more comfortable, and embrace the regulators that way. And of course, Frank has the macro view and what's happening in the U.S. And globally as well.
And to add to that, in my conversation with accountants that have a quick opinion that's anti-Bitcoin and blockchain, they actually don't know. They don't know the concept of triple entry accounting. They don't know how blockchain was created in '91 by a telecom company to move money. It's a very transparent mechanism. They're oblivious, but they have this immediate attachment to the FUD out there that it's bad and dangerous, and only drug lords are using it. So I think there has to be a big process of education, just like you, Lucas. You can turn around and look at our hashing power from our Bitcoin and from Ethereum and make a good forecast of what our daily revenue is. It's public. I have a public company, another one that's in the asset management business. Well, our average fee is 60 basis points and we have 4 billion. It's really easy to calculate. That's 24 million in revenue. It's not rocket scientists. And you can figure out every day what your assets are, how much money you're making. So I think that's one thing I like about this industry. It's very transparent if you can go in and know how to get the data, because it's all math, as Aydin said, and it's public, it's transparent. So a lot of these talking heads are oblivious to what blockchain actually is and how Bitcoin validated the blockchain as a great mechanism for growth. But they have this negative opinion. So we're going to have to educate, and you can help educate them too. We all can.
Yes, it will take some time, but finally we will we will do it, and a lot more people got educated, I think, in this year, and it's only growing, the whole thing. Okay, so maybe one last question to you, Frank. I mean, you have run a lot of companies, a lot of successful businesses, and the question from one of my followers was, so what is the difference between running a blockchain company, running Hive, and another company, a non-blockchain company? What is the difference here? Or is it the same?
No, it's intellectual capital. You're really managing a lot of intellectual capital, and managing that versus having a chain of restaurants. It's very different at levels. So from that end, when you take a look at our revenue per employee, it's moving between $10 and $15 million per employee. And you look at Goldman Sachs as $1 million. Now, that's a lot of high intellectual capital at Goldman. So if you look at gold royalty companies, they're pushing 15 to 25 million in revenue per employee. So we're much more like a royalty company or a small asset management company, which has a lot of assets. So therefore, technology is very important, that you're getting like the latest ASICs and GPUs, but it's the intellectual capital that's really key, that those employees that you pick up are curious enough and have initiative to wear many hats, not just one hat. I'm just this in a silo. No, I'm this hat, I'm that hat, I want to know how this works, I want to know how that works, and how does this integrate? But they have a core competence as an electrical engineer, but then they want to know how all the parts come together. Darcy, our CFO, he's done that in the capacity of being a bean counter, as understands all the contracts, all the legal filings, all the issues, and he ends up wearing many executive hats, and that is at times short-term gives you a headache of trying to learn all this stuff. To learn one new word, you have to build 2,000 neurons in your brain. And so he's building them by the day. So it's a lot of blood going to the brain. We got to find those people in this business. That's what I see is very similar. In the mutual fund where I'm at, it's very similar. If I had retail distribution of some form, it's different.
Okay. Yeah. I think that makes a whole lot of sense. I think sometimes maybe that's my assumption. It's a little bit more stressful when you have these bear trends and so on. I think you get a lot of emails or something like this, but yeah, that's just my imagination here. Okay.
So retail investors are very important, but they're very demanding and can set off a lot of negativity. But they create price discovery. What our world, I've mentioned earlier, we have to be careful of our bots out there that really are just spreading negative news. That's all they do. And who's running that? Who's manipulating? Are they the Russians? Is it the Chinese? Is it North Korea? Who's manipulating and sending these things around? I think that's where you have to separate between the retail. The retail has been very important in my JETS ETF. They ignited the big institutional money that took it from 40 million to 4 billion in assets.
Yeah, I think retail is important, and the big guys are also important. The good thing is in these companies, retail, in my opinion, were first. Fidelity was early in Hive and so on, but I think that the big money will come later. And the good thing is that I'm, as a retail investor, I had the chance to learn, to had the time to invest, and to benefit now. And hopefully we get this bull run we all waiting for. I mean, it was a good year so far, but I think the 6-digit number for Bitcoin is the next major hurdle here, and we all want to see it. Maybe this year, maybe next year, hopefully. We're very exciting for this.
I would love 70,000. That would be really good.
70,000. Next month would be good.
Listen, just the math of that, and on our new exahash coming on stream, we'll be doing $1 million a day in revenue and not hiring new employees. So that'd be very, very attractive.
Yes, the good thing is the mining conditions are great because of this China shutdown there, or that's will continue. And I was when I made my first calculation in January or December or so, I was calculating like 300 exahash at the end of the year, and it's now gonna be, let's say, maybe below 200 exahash at the end of the year. So it's a lot better for miners, and if you hodl the coins, you can wait for the price and then sell. So that's the great thing when you're a public traded company, you can raise some cash and wait for the price. Okay.
Thank you.
So I think that's it. So it's 1 hour. Thank you very much for the time. Again, congratulations to the great quarter. Say also thank you to the whole Hive Blockchain team. And we will come together soon, I think, after a few updates, great updates from Hive, and then we talk again.
Great. Thank you, Mike.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Take care.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Pleasure meeting you, Lucas.
Thank you.